Bureaucracy and administrative procedures in Spain have a reputation of being a bit of a pain in the behind. From long processes to a lot of documentation required to not being very clear in general, it can really be a nightmare for people trying to deal with this and come to terms with it, especially people from abroad who are moving to Spain and this is their first experience of Spanish bureaucracy. However, once you're through the initial hurdles of like the first bits of paperwork, it does actually get better, or it can get better. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about two forms of digital authorization and identification that you can use in Spain that will allow you to carry out a range of administrative procedures and tasks from the comfort of your own home. Let's get right into it. If you're new here, my name is Jonny. I'm originally from the UK, but I've been living and working in Spain for the past 5 years. On this channel, I talk a lot about life in Spain, about finance, administrative procedures, how to move here, along with a range of other videos covering travel, personal finance, and investing. So the two methods, let's call them, that I was describing in the intro to the video are known as clave and the digital certificate, or certificado digital in Spanish. Now, they're not exactly new, they have been around for a while. For example, the digital certificate has been available since 2015, and I could be mistaken, but I believe the clave system was introduced around the same time, about 2014. And as I said in the introduction, what the digital certificate and clave essentially allow you to do is to electronically identify yourself and provide authorization, and in some cases even sign administrative procedures, documents, etc. from a mobile device or a laptop or computer, for example, and carry out a range of administrative procedures from home without you needing to necessarily go to the office of the relevant public administration service that you're trying to carry out the administrative procedure for. So let me tell you about them both in a bit more detail, starting with the digital certificate. So the digital certificate is issued essentially by the Royal Mint of Spain, known in Spanish as the Fábrica Nacional de Moneda y Timbre. When you get your digital certificate, it's valid for 4 years at a time and it can be renewed electronically after you've got it the first time, 2 months before the expiry date. There's about 4 different types of digital certificate available, but the most relevant one, most likely for people watching this video, is going to be the Certificado para Personas Físicas, which is basically the certificate for individuals. So you and I watching, for example, can have a digital certificate issued in our respective names, and that will essentially be our electronic identifier. And the digital certificates are essentially unique to each person. Everybody has their own digital certificate that they use to carry out their respective tasks. What it will essentially allow you to do is to identify yourself, carry out different declarations, procedures in various government authorities, like for example the tax authorities, like the traffic authorities, like social security, for example. It'll allow you to access the various online platforms of these different services, view, amend your data, for example. If you change your address or if you change your marital status, for example, you'll be able to view, modify, update that. You can present and sign documentation with a digital certificate as well, because the digital certificate has the same legal validity as a handwritten signature. And if you're running a business in Spain and you have a represented digital certificate for that business, then you can also carry out a range of administrative tasks for your business as well, whether it's signing contracts, tax declarations, all this kind of stuff. Now let's talk about the clave system, which essentially works via a mobile application, which you'll download, which is called clave. For it to work, you'll need to have your mobile phone number registered with clave as well, because it's quite specific in how it works. So what you'll essentially do is when you're signing into whichever portal it is, you'll use the clave option. You'll put in your NIE or DNI, and if we're talking about a Spanish person here, and then based on your DNI or NIE number, it will send you a one-time passcode to your mobile phone number. You will then go into the clave app, enter that one-time passcode, and then clave will generate you a code within the app, which you will then input into the box on the website that you're trying to log into. So there are a few more steps involved for the authentication of you than there would be with the digital certificate. Now that you understand how clave and how the digital certificate work, let me show you a couple of examples that I'm going to describe and I'll put on the screen as I'm going through this as well. So in the case of the digital certificate, this works at 3 different levels of public administration. So it works at the central government level, for example, in the Agencia Tributaria, Hacienda. I could log into the online Agencia Tributaria platform with my digital certificate, and with my digital certificate as well, I can also use it to identify myself and then carry out various different types of of declaration, and then proceed with different tax declarations, perhaps the annual tax declaration, maybe the quarterly declarations if I were an autonomo, for example. And the digital certificate essentially identifies me and provides my authorization for what it is that I'm doing on that platform. I could use it on the traffic authority's website, the DGT or Tráfico, to log in to check my driving license points. I could use it to ask for an international driving permit as well. I can use it to update my details in the Tráfico database as well. I could also use it to log into the Seguridad Social, Social Security, to have a look at my work history, or vida laboral as it's known in Spanish. I can also use Clave to do this too. In addition to a lot of the central government public institutions, you can also use it at the autonomous community level as well. So for example, I live in Madrid, and one time I went on the Comunidad de Madrid portal and I was able to use my digital certificate to fill out and complete an e-mobility grant for my electric scooter that I had after I'd purchased it. I was also able to use my digital certificate in the Madrid community portal when I was doing the property transfer tax declaration, the ITP as it's known in Spanish, when I purchased one of my storage units. The digital certificate also works right down to the local authorities level. So for example, at the town hall or the ayuntamiento, you can log into the town hall website and check your padrón data. You can use it to pay like parking fines, for example, if you find yourself in that situation. You can also use it, for example, to set up your annual property tax payments. So at all of these different levels of public administration, you can use the digital certificate to carry out different administrative tasks. You can do with Clave as well, but as I'll explain at the end, you can't necessarily do all the things that you can do with the digital certificate. So both of these sound great. So how do you go about getting them? In the case of the digital certificate, you need to start by downloading a specific software from the Fábrica Nacional de Moneda y Timbre website, which will allow you to install your digital certificate once you've been granted it. You'll fill out an online form with all your details, and you'll then be required to go in person to a particular office, often with a pre-booked appointment, to go and accredit your identity to say that you are essentially who you say you are when you've done that application. And then once that's done, about 1 hour after the appointment, you'll be able to download and install your digital certificate. It's recommended as well by the Fábrica Nacional de Moneda y Timbre that you make a backup copy somewhere, because you can only have it installed on one device at a time. Let's say, for example, you get a new laptop, or you want to switch from your laptop to your phone, for example, then you are going to need like the original file that you used to install your digital certificate. With Clave, there's a few different ways you can register. One is by requesting an invitation letter. So you'll essentially request an invitation letter to Clave, which will arrive at your home, and then you'll essentially follow the instructions that arrive on the piece of paper that comes. You can also request to sign up to Clave in person by going to a registry office, or you can do it with the digital certificate if you've already got the digital certificate. And then once you've signed up, it's simply a case of downloading the mobile app and logging into the mobile app. And so as I've gone through the video, I've explained how the digital certificate and how Clave works, but how exactly are they different from one another? Is one better than the other, and which one should you get? Well, in summary, the digital certificate, though it's a bit more inflexible in the sense that it can only be installed on one device at a time, it allows you to do a lot more stuff than Clave PIN does, because it has like a greater, deeper level of personal identification, and it has like the same legal validity as a manual signature. Then you can do a lot more things like a tax declaration, like requesting an international driver's permit, for example, with a digital certificate that you may not necessarily be able to do with Clave. On the other hand, Clave is very useful to have, as you can have it on your mobile phone. You can be on the go and using it. And if you just need to check a few datas, download like your vida laboral, your work history, for example, from Social Security, then it's more than enough to do that. So Clave can be used across multiple devices, and it's good for, pretty basic, simple stuff that you're trying to do. And so honestly, whilst I think like the digital certificate is superior in terms of what it allows you to do and in terms of functionality, I would suggest getting both, because they can both be handy. One day maybe your digital certificate doesn't work and you're just trying to do something simple, and Clave PIN can help you, or you're out somewhere and Clave PIN is useful as well. And in the case of having the digital certificate, you can save yourself so much time, like getting appointments, going out of the house to offices to ask people how to do things, when really this will just save you like so much time, so much effort, and you can do everything from home pretty much. There you have it, guys. Once you're over the initial hurdles of getting your NIE and getting registered in Spain, then with the digital certificate and with Clave PIN, the bureaucracy does get a little bit better. Leave a comment and let me know if you're using the digital certificate or Clave and how your experience with them has been. And if you like this video, there's a whole lot more of Spain content on the channel, which I'm sure you'll find useful if you're new to the country or you just want to understand a bit better how things work here. So next time, I'll see you on the next one, and let's get this money.